It's Mailbag Wednesday, where I keep you guys guessing as to what exactly was sent in to be repaired. But I will tell you one thing. This is a MacGyver repair at its finest. Let's check it out. Picked up a box at the post office. What's in this box? It's not taped shut. Well, I guess this side's got the seal on it. What about this side? Is this side taped shut? I don't know what's in here. It wasn't even taped shut. What do we have wrapped up inside here? It looks like a camera. I think I would have put a little more tape on there myself, but at least it got here in one piece. I have a camera for service. Let's see what we got. This is a Sony. It's a high 8. No note or anything to say what's wrong with it, so I will have to investigate. So first things first, let's remove all this crap from the side of it here. It never ceases to amaze me that nobody ever figured out how to do these. Every time I see one, I have to shake my head because it was such a simple way to put these on, but so many people complicated how they put the straps on. And it's really quite simple how these things go together, and this is not the right way. I'll show you the right way to do this. Alright, so when you're putting on these straps, they're really quite simple, right? The strap's it's pulled through the adjustment like that, and the right way to do this is just to put it on. There's two ways to do it. You can do it the top side or you do it the bottom side. The bottom side is a little more secure. You put it through and then you push the strap through like that, and then bring the other side through with the other one. There. That's how the strap gets put on, and it's never going to fall off, and you can adjust it, right? It's easy to adjust it. You want to make it longer, you just lengthen the one side, pull it down through like that, and then pull the other side through like that. Right? That's how you'll shorten it and lengthen it. Anyway, but I see this all the time, people just kind of tying them in knots. Like, what the hell? What is that? Hello? It's like, yeah, really? And mine's more secure because that could pull out on its own quite easy. This one can't. This is how the manufacturers did it. And then to get it out, you just pull it through. You can pull the inner one through. Just like that, and then there. Simple. Easy peasy. That's how you put on a strap on a camera. Any questions? This one uses an Info Lithium M, and I've got the charger and I've got a battery for this, so let me go dig up a charger and we'll see what is wrong with this camera and what it is doing. This is one of those wonderful bottom loading cameras, so let's get a power supply and figure out what's wrong with it. A little high 8 camera, so certainly worth looking at one of these. Right, so I've got a type Info Lithium M battery. I hope this one's charged. It should be. It just came off of my camera, and we'll put this into I guess we have to switch the mode down to camera mode, and the next mode is playback. I'm just going to try playing back a tape first of all and see what happens. So I got my little pre-recorded scenery tape, and we'll try loading this in. Play. Watch it work. Really? It appears that it's working. What the heck? Volume. Is there sound? Should be. Well, this appears to be working. I guess I'm going to have to let this thing run for a bit and see what happens, see if it does something. Go look up the original complaint. Just looking at the email, and they said to me they So I've ended up buying a new camera, but I have an issue where I can't put my fisheye lens on because of the grills on the camera lens. I bought a new fisheye lens because I thought that was a problem, but it seems like the camera lens indents are damaged. Do you have any possible fix for that? And then they said they had a TRV 328. Well, that's got to be this one. This is a TRV 328. And, well, you need the right lens adapter for this, first of all, to put a different lens on here. But it looks like maybe the plastic is damaged on the front here, and there's nothing really that can be done to fix that. Someone's tried to thread the wrong one on. It almost looks like on the front here. I wonder what size it is. I think it's a 37mm. So the person that sent me this said they can't put their fisheye lens on the camera, but did they include the fisheye lens? No. It might be the fisheye lens that they've got is not going to fit on this camera because it's got the extra light that sticks out the front here. It might be too big to fit on. You know, it's like, how am I supposed to solve a problem if it physically won't fit? But they didn't include the lens because their excuse was it didn't fit in the box. I can't even test it. I don't have a fisheye lens. I'll check my digital 8 camera in the house and see whether there's one on it, because I think it's the same size. Went into my collection of cameras and just so happened that my little PAL camera has a 37mm adapter on here. Let's just see if this will screw onto the front or whether the threads are damaged. It looks like the threads are screwed is what's happened. Someone stripped it, and the only way to fix this would be to replace this front cover. That's never going to happen. You're never going to find one of these. I don't know whether I can take the ring off of another camera or not. I don't know whether this can be replaced. I do have other scrap cameras kicking around here that use a 37mm, but I don't think that pretty sure this piece can't be. This is also a 37mm, you see. That would fit on that, but I don't know that it's going to, I can remove this from one and put it onto the other. This would have been available as a part at one time, but not anymore. I can try pulling this off and see whether I can try to somehow shoehorn one onto the other. That's about all I can do. I'll just put my PAL camera out of the way so I don't lose that. Otherwise, this is just going to be an exercise in futility, I think. But we'll try. And I'm pretty much sure I'm going to fail on this, but what the hell? I got nothing to lose, right? See if I can pop the front off this camera and just see whether that ring will come out and whether I can put another one on there. I don't think it will, but you can see where it's stripped. Someone's put one on that's too big, or they've had one on and they dropped the camera. That's another possibility, is that this camera was bought used, right? It's a very big possibility, or good possibility, that someone had sold this camera and they'd had an adapter on there and the camera got knocked down or something dropped and the lens adapter got hit and it ripped it off, but the threads are stripped out completely. That's why the filter or any accessory won't screw on there. I mean, what it might be able to do is might be able to put a filter on there and glue it in place and then put the wide angle adapter onto here. That might be an idea. We'll see if I can change that ring out. I'm not holding my breath that anything's going to be doable on this, but since it did get sent all the way here, we'll see whether I can swap the piece over. From this is an old high 8 camera of mine. I think this is a high 8. Yeah, this is an old high 8 camera of mine that is ready for the scrap heap. It don't work. Alright, that comes off, and then okay, that came out pretty easy. Let's unplug this. to work on it. All right, get that out of the way. Now let's just see whether this lens piece will pop off the front. It looks that way. It looks like this is supposed to just turn and the whole front will pop off like that. Okay, that's what I was after. Now, will this piece, this is what I'm looking for. This is the piece that's screwed. I'm wondering whether I can take this piece off of this camera and whether it will fit. I don't know whether it will or not. It might. It's just like this one's got, now this one's got a shutter on it as well, but the actual lens piece itself is what I'm curious whether this part is going to be the same. It probably isn't, but we'll take this one apart and see whether that piece is of a similar construction. So the person that contacted me, they have they had a 108, because I've got one here, and it broke. So they contacted me about sending me the camera, and I said, sure, I can look at the camera, but they bought another camera online. I guess they bought this one online, and the adapter won't fit. So I get sent this one too. See if I can work a miracle on it and somehow get the lens adapter to switch from one to the other. That might explain why this wouldn't turn on. It wasn't plugged in. I think there's something serious wrong with this camera. It was given to me, so I don't think this is going to come out of here, but might be the same one that's on my PAL camera. Does it look the same as this one? It doesn't, does it? Maybe. It might be the same one as on this camera. But I don't think this one's going to fit. I get a sneaking suspicion that this one is different. So I'll just throw this one back together for now. I'll reconnect that ribbon cable and see what this thing does. I have a sneaking suspicion this is one that I did a chassis swap on because the ribbon was broken. No, that's a different one I'm thinking of. That would be an XR that I used as a donor to fix a high 8 for someone. So I don't know what the story on this old camera was, but it's my old camera, and I picked it up the other day and plugged it in to see whether it would turn on, and nothing happened. So I just kind of set it aside. Well, maybe we'll look at that at some point. See if we can get something going on that down the road. I know that cameras are kind of a waste of time anyway because nobody watches them. Right? Normally my views subsidize my repair costs, but camcorders don't get watched, so I don't make any money from camcorders, so I have to charge people what my time is worth when I'm working on camcorders. They don't get a discount like, say, someone who brings me a stereo, because I make substantially more money off of the the video for a stereo than I would off of a camcorder, just because people don't watch camcorder videos. A lot of people want them fixed though, but nobody watches them. I hate taking these apart because sometimes the plastic breaks in these ones. There we go. Alright. Will this one pop out? And more importantly, is it the same as the other one? That's the important thing. Unplug that. Set this camera aside. Okay, that does come out, but is it the same? No, it's not. It's completely different, so it's not going to fit. Sorry, it's a lot bigger than the other one. You can see the difference in the size. So that idea of changing this out is flown out the window because, well, as you can see, it's the wrong size. So I can put my camera back together and not be able to sell an expensive part, because this would be an expensive part. I'm thinking maybe the only thing I'm going to be able to do is remove this filter, remove the glass from here. I mean, it's not in very good shape anyway, but it's just a 1A filter. I think I've even got one that's a clear glass, a lens protector, but remove the glass, and maybe I can get this, I can cement this in, glue this housing onto the front of this piece, and then attach this. At least that would give them rings to put the to screw in the lens. Or even if I take this out, will this screw into, because this will unscrew as well, right? If I take this piece off, I might be able to screw this in to here. I don't know if it'll give enough of a, I doubt it'll give enough of a bite, but for sure if I take the glass out of here, if I put this piece in here and glued it into place so that it's not going to come out, it'll give them something to screw the wide angle or the fisheye adapter onto. And getting the glass out of there, of course, will, because you're going through an adapter, going through that extra piece of glass will cause reflections. The only concern I've got is it might cause some jetting at the edge of the screen, because of the filter would be out a little bit further, right? It'd be sitting out an extra half a centimeter, so that might cause some problems on the extreme wide angle. But that's about the only solution I can see, is if I can get this in further too. There's also a sticker on here. Once I peel this off, if I peel this off, can I get enough meat in here to screw this thing in? Probably not, but I think if I were to take a little bit of an edge off of here, cut this down a bit so that I could fit this adapter right up flush against the back here, I might be able to get enough in there that I can screw this adapter in. There's still some threads in here, as you can see. It's just the ones on the outside here that are stripped. If I could take this bit off, cut that off, and then I could get this adapter to screw in there further, so that it could be a permanent part of the front of the camera, and then at least this is a metal ring. It's going to stand up a little better than, say, screwing something onto plastic, right? Because you can see where it's been stripped. I think that's about my only hope on this, is to shave this down a bit, just so I can get this ring flush, so that I can get it to sit back more like that. I think that's what we'll try. We'll try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a couple of millimeters off of here all the way around, so that I can break out this piece and cut it off, and hopefully I can thread the other one in. So if I do this, I can break this piece off, you see, like this. Just do this all the way around. It might not look pretty, but once I put the other piece in and glue it so that it's flush, my concern is just getting it so that it's as far back as it can be, so that it doesn't affect the focus. Well, it shouldn't affect the focus, but affect the zoom, because of the fisheye lens is too far forward, you'll see the edges. I mean, you'll normally see it on fisheye lenses anyway, but you'll really see it if it's extended too far forward. So see if we can get this piece broken off here, and then I can try threading the other piece in, so that it'll thread right in there. So let me just finish taking this off. Just break it off. Oh, we got commercials on the radio about driving high. Okay, will this screw into here now onto the remaining threads? I'm hoping it will. We have to take a little bit more up. But yeah, I think I can get into those threads that remain and get this back as far as I can. I think this might work because I've got enough meat left here on the threads that I can thread this adapter on, and I'll glue it in place so that it doesn't come off. I will take that lens out of there, that glass, because there's no point in having that in place. But you see, that will bring this in, and it's the glass itself is literally flush with the back of the the actual lens cap here. And it doesn't want to come off now, which is good. Alright, so now when I screw that in, this glass here is literally right up against that. That's what we want. We want to get this thing as close as we can. I mean, I could probably leave the glass on there, it's just that it might get some reflections, and there's a few scratches on it anyway, so I think we'll take that off. You see there's a couple scratches on that protector, so we'll remove this. It just unscrews. It does, trust me. It just isn't tight. There we go. And take this glass piece out now, and then put this piece into here and screw this down. You can put that other piece back in there. That sticker can go back in there. There we go. And that's the same size. It's a 37mm as the original. I can prove that because this inner ring that held the glass will thread into there. So it's the exact same size. So we'll screw this in. I'm thinking I'll probably put just a drop of glue on there just so that it doesn't accidentally get removed once I get this back together. And this piece can go went into this somehow, right? How did it go into that? Went into this, like, came in from the front, I think. Like that. Looking better all the time. Cool. Excellent. Excellent. That's what you call using your noggin.
MacGyver would be proud.
I'm going to put some super glue just in here. This will stop this from accidentally unscrewing, because with it being in the housing like that, I don't want it coming apart. So I'll just let that set up there before I put it all together. I don't want to put this anywhere near the lens as this is cementing in place, but I want to make sure that it doesn't unscrew at this point. It's now a permanent fixture. So we'll just leave that and let that set up for a couple minutes. So that is now permanently attached and bonded to the lens housing, and now you can screw the adapter, his telephoto or wide angle or fisheye or whatever adapters he wants to put on. They'll be able to screw onto this part of the lens. Hopefully this will work. But the only solution I think we can do is this on this unit. I guess the way to assemble this is you put this in place first until it drops in, and then this piece can go in on top of that and lock in like that, and then the screws go through and hold that in place. That's how that goes together. Of course, I misplaced my screwdriver. Top cover goes on like that, and the screws go back into it. And it's really quite that simple. And this should solve the problem of the adapter that wouldn't screw on the front due to the damaged threads on the plastic lens adapter. See, this would have been a service part back in the day that you could have ordered from Sony. Alright, I think I've got this one back together and have solved the dilemma of not being able to put a filter on here or put an adapter. Nice new solid screws. Hopefully it's not sticking out too far. I've got this thing right flush. If you look down inside here, you'll see that it is actually, because I cut off the original one, you can see that this is actually completely flush with that. So there's not any gap there. I can't put anything through there. So this is within a millimeter or two. Sticks out a little further, but the adapter that's going to go on there should be able to screw in there and get in there pretty close to the lens. So I think that there shouldn't be any problem as far as the optics go. I'll throw a high 8 test tape in and we'll do a recording and playback and see how it looks. Of course, I'll clean off that lens. That around like that. I guess I have to take that off to do that. Alright, let's put the tape in. Brand new tape. This tape's only been used once. It's a brand new high 8 tape, new old stock. I was given a few tapes, so I've got some tapes for testing. I'm going to take this, we'll do a few recordings up and down the street, make sure everything's working, play it back, and we'll look at the picture. Alright, I've got the camera back here. I'm going to plug it into my monitor. Of course, we have to use the special Sony. You know it's a special one because it's yellow. So this, of course, requires the special Sony custom wired cable. You cannot use a regular cable like this. That won't work. Alright, this is from a Samsung TV. This will not work because this is wired differently than this. Let's get a look at the screen.
Okay, we're making our test recording. That's 20-to-1 lens.
I know someone's going to comment about it being stretched. I know.
The story while I'm doing this. So
Let's see if I can do the aspect on this remote. I don't know if it works.
And anyway, these two guys come in with a very young baby.
There we go.
I'm going to guess less than a year old. And this kid screamed. Waitress sat them down right behind me, the booth right behind me. And this bloody kid, the lungs on this kid, I tell you, you could hear him at the end of the block. Just really upset about something. And it was really getting on my nerves because I haven't had to deal with this now for at least 20 years since my kids got out of that phase of screaming for something. Anyway, I guess someone must have said, I was ready to get up. I was ready to say, you know, I've changed my mind. I hadn't ordered my lunch or anything yet. I was ready to say, you know, I'm going to just go somewhere else because this was just grating on my nerves. But I guess somebody else said something because the girl comes up and says something to them, and the next thing you know, they're leaving. So I had peace and quiet for my lunch. Anyway, this is just a quick test of this camera. Zoom in all the way down to the end of the block. And zoom out. I'm seeing this in the black and white viewfinder. It's got an LCD black and white on this one.
I should point out that this TV is probably the best you're ever going to see off of its camera. This is a standard definition plasma.
Now I'm looking at it on the screen, as you can
So
see.
this is going to deliver a picture that's it's on par with any CRT set. This is the best standard definition set I think I've ever seen. Panasonic Viera.
Okay, that should be enough of a recording for testing.
They call this an ED TV, enhanced definition, because, well, it'll do 854 by 480 because of the wide screen, right? When you're in 4:3, it's 720 by 480, which is your standard definition. But it has a super picture. This set's 20 years old, and this set here, believe it or not, it was given to me, broken, of course it was broken. I had to fix a problem with it. A problem in the little coil shorted in one of the power supplies for it. It was actually for the analog tuner. It's got picture on this thing. It's got two tuners in it. Two analog tuners, but no digital tuner because it's too old. It's a 2003 set. No HDMI either. It's got a DVI. For standard definition, it looks as good as anything I've ever seen.
Original owner paid $7,000 for it.
Anyway, this one is done, and hopefully that's going to resolve his issue with being able to put the adapter on for the fisheye lens. I think that will solve all of his issues. So if you run into one of these with threads that are stripped, now you know how to take this apart and how you can fit a 37mm filter. Just go get a basic 37mm filter, like a skylight or a UV filter or anything, unscrew it, take the glass out, and you can screw that in and fit it flush and glue it in place, and you've now fixed it. Because otherwise your only other source would be to, well, someone's going to suggest 3D printing, and I'm going to suggest that that's not going to work because of the threads are so fine and you wouldn't have the strength to screw anything on there. At least this way it's a metal ring now. It shouldn't ever break again. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.